Shalom. Shalom to the brethren. And what up to everybody else? This is your op, Brandon Lewis. And this is the Lunar Solar Shabbat Scripture Study, where we search the scriptures looking for ways to apply them to the life that we might become perfect. Too long have we read a scripture here and a scripture there, creating whole doctrine, never knowing the fullness of the context of those scriptures, the fullness and the context of those chapters and those books. And we have ignorantly made them say things that they did not say, made them intend things that they did not intend. May we now read them in the fullness, in the context that they were meant to be read in, and know what they were intended to teach us. May the Most High be with us as we read through His Word, as we place them in their proper context, the proper people in whom they were written about, and the proper time frames in which they were written about. This is the time of the rebuilding of the nation, not the rebuilding of temples made with men's hands, but the temples made with the hands and the ruach of the Creator of the heavens and the earth. May we be as we ought to be. May we know what we ought to know. May we have eyes that see. May we have ears that hear. May we build up what needs to be built upon. And may we tear down what needs to be torn down. Come together in love, peace, and unity of the brethren, of the mind, and of the heart. In the name of the Son, of the Creator of the heavens and the earth. Shalom.
What it do, HP?
My purpose is greater than me. When you serve the Most High, He gon' make you shine so all of your haters can see. Cool as the shade of the tree. Worship the King, bowing on kissing His feet. He took me straight out the street and brought me right back to the street. Stood on the corner with wheat. Now I hit corners to preach and gather His sheep to wake 'em up, wake 'em up. Just like Elijah, take me up. I go to war for my peace. They turned the man to a beast. Play with my family, we gon' tape 'em up. Attack, that's the season on me. Got every reason to win. Thanking the Father, the last night that bit me, you got me on point like some niggas and pins. Move with the lions, I be in the den. Ain't about my nation, I be in the wind. Perfecting our temples, we be in the gym. My purpose is greater than me. This the man of a chocolate man. On the ground till my pockets expand. Make that music the profits a jam. We on fire like the pots in the pans. Style awkward like pops when he playing. I'm protecting my mama be praying. Not in my face, but behind my back, so I couldn't hear him like, what was you saying? Get with the movement, 144 karat gold music, constructing the brand. Yo, my purpose is greater than me. If they watch it, they wanna stop me, they wanna block me. My purpose is greater than me. I keep going, I'm already knowing I gotta stay focused. My purpose is greater than me. Know that they watch it, they wanna stop me, they wanna block me. My purpose is greater than me. I keep going, I'm already knowing I gotta stay focused. My purpose is greater than me.
My purpose is greater than me. I see direct in my feet. What songs do I sing? It's my agenda to make them remember. Return to the words of the King. To be the sacrifice to serve. Hand to the apply, I gotta keep working. To be a righteous rebel, fighting all type of devils, I do this on purpose. And when my mission is done, I hope that I'm defined as P31. But as of now, I'm the living example for all of my daughters and sons. Listen what I be telling you. His grace and mercy is incredible. To walk in his favor, to mind my behavior, no other way is acceptable. Walk in his light, shine bright. Much is given, much required. Taking the kingdom until I aspire. To do his will is my desire. Steadfast, never fold. Cry aloud and be bold. Continue a repentant soul. My purpose is to let them know. My purpose is to let them show.
Know that they watch it, they wanna stop me, they wanna block me. They try to greater than me. I keep going, I'm already knowing I gotta stay focused. My purpose is greater than me. Know that they watching, they wanna stop me, they wanna block me. My purpose is greater than me. I keep going, I'm already knowing I gotta stay focused. My purpose is greater than me.
What up, Bob? Yeah. Y'all know what time it is. Righteous warriors stand up. Shout out COY, man. Kwam Yasharon. North, west, east, south. We everywhere. Four corners, right? You already? Yeah. That Ruach blowing. That whole blowing. Appointed. This ain't no game here. Nah, no, not at all. Got some advice for the fake and the weak hearted. Don't get involved. We ain't got time to worry about you. When it's time to do what we do, you to stay and hold down the fam. Y'all gon' make sure we get through. Tell me go get it, cause that's what he told us. Not overnight, took time to mold us. Let Pharaoh go, so he can't control us. Now that game over, 30 controllers. Rollers a lion, deadly as cobra. Snakes in the grass, new blades on no more. Going out for everything you showed us. To a bad report, we like hold up. You know we going, promised land in sight. Full calm is glowing, a true army of light. Marching on our way to Zion. We marching on our way to Zion. Got mighty man on my left, more mighty man on my right. Laid by the cloud by day, and that fire by night. Marching on our way to Zion. We marching on our way to Zion. It was written what it was, is what it is. Y'all ask, can these dry bones live? Prophet said, well, you know. The y'all said, nah, you know. I put my words in your mouth, and behind my words are power. Speak to him what I said and watch my army rise. Hey, Shema Yisrael. Listen up. Yahuwah Eloheinu, Yahuwah God. Word to the wise, yeah, heart. Take heed to the real. Stay away from frauds. But how do you know who's real or fake? When they weigh in the fathers are at odds. It's either the road of life or the road of death. See, we're both gonna cause problems, but only on this side you don't notice it. Those on that side think it's over with. Your actions will show who you rolling with. I just watch what don't sound like them old flicks. Keep your mind on the road of the land. Come on. Those who unsure will not stand. living the way he commands. Let the Ruach lead all that you plan. The promise is only for us, no need for complaints. Silence the fuss, always overcome. We Yah is your trust. We don't fear no man, we all made from dust. Living to love, death for lust. Action required, belief is a must. We ain't worried about no lurking. Got my sword on while I'm working. You know we going. The promised land is sight. War calm is glowing. A true army of light. Marching on our way to Zion. We marching on our way to Zion. Got mighty man on my left, more mighty man on my right. Lay by the cloud by day, and that fire by night. Marching on our way to Zion. We marching on our way to Zion.
Shalom, shalom to the brethren. What up to everybody else? This is Yah Brandon Lewis, and this is the Lunar Solar Shabbat Scripture Study. For those of you that know about that sort of thing. But for those of you, it's just a regular day to you. Shalom to you anyway. Today we're going to get into some scripture. Matter of fact, hold on. I need to change my background. It's not right. We're not reading the account of the wilderness as we did last week about this time. This week we're going to be talking about book 6 of the Antiquities of the Jews, or the Yahudim, if you will. I was listening to this book on audio, and it got to talking about King Saul's reign. You know, it talked about David. It talked about different things that happened during King Saul's reign. But it got to a particular part about Saul speaking to the people. Not Saul. Samuel speaking to the people and giving them courage to go out and fight. And it spoke on some real powerful things I feel like is meant for a time just like today, because we are just like them in the fact of there is something we need to do. There is something we must do, and that's fight for our salvation, right? At that time, they had to fight for their land. Their land was overtaken by a group of people that had to get out. And the people were scared to go and fight them. And Saul gave them a speech, man. They need to make a movie about it for real, but we're gonna get into it today, Abba willing. As you know, this is Josephus' account of the Antiquities of the Jews. So it is a credible source. It is credible by a lot of scholars, a lot of, European scholars and all that. But in my own reading of it, I find it to be credible to me as well. And as you know, I'm your brother. I'm your Ak, your strong defense, and I feel like it would be credible to you. So I'm bringing it to you this day. Also, bringing it to my Mishpachah. My Isha is here with me. And I hope to be joined by some brethren. I sent the link out to anybody who would like to be a part of the study so we can ask questions and converse and whatnot. Shout out to Cindy Smith. She's in the building. You know, she gonna support if don't nobody else support. Appreciate you, Cindy. So, as we said, Josephus' account of King Saul's reign and fall. Now, for time's sake, we are not going to read starting from book 1, chapter 1. Um, I want to say that chapter 1 is when Saul got crowned and all of that, right? Now, feel free to go back and read that on your own. But to get to the speech and to get to other things I feel like needs to be brought out today, we're going to start at book 6, chapter 2. All right, that's book 6, chapter 2. Hope I'm in the right spot. Hold on. Yep, see, book 6, containing the interval of 32 years from the death of Eli to the death of Saul. Now, as I said, we're going to skip chapter 1, and we're going to get on down here to chapter 2. And I hope y'all can see these words. I know they kind of small. I'm going to try to blow them up a little bit for you when the opportunity presents itself. Get down here to chapter 2. All right. Sorry, y'all, for the slowness of this computer. If you got a computer, you know what it is. Told out y'all for this day. I hope y'all having a great rising, a grand rising, a great Boca, a great Layla, whichever time you might catch this video. Shout out to all of those joining us live. You are much appreciated. You're the reason why I do this for. Right? There we go. All right, chapter 2. The expedition of the Philistines against the Hebrews, and the Hebrews' victory under the conduct of Samuel the prophet, who was their general, right? That's what I'm talking about his speech, man. He put it down. All right. So let's get on into this thing. Now, while the city of Karjathajearim had the ark with them, the whole body of the people betook themselves all the time to offer prayers and sacrifices to the Most High, and appeared greatly concerned and zealous about his worship. So Samuel the prophet, seeing how ready they were to do their duty, thought this a proper time to speak to them while they were in this good disposition about the recovery of their liberty and of the blessings that accompanied the same. Accordingly, he used such words to them as he thought were most likely to excite their inclination and to persuade them to attempt it. O ye Israelites, he said, to whom the Philistines are still grievous enemies, but to whom the Most High begins to be gracious or kind. Well, no, that's not kind. That would be favorable. Who the Most High begins to be favorable. It behooves you not only to be desirous of liberty, but to take proper methods to obtain it. Nor are you to be contented with an inclination to get clear of your lords and masters while you still do what will procure your continuance under them. Now, this is deep. All of this is stuff that I'm going to take my time to try to point out to you the relevance of it and how heavy this is and why I wanted to bring y'all this day, right? They had lost the ark of the covenant, right? And it took a long time. They ended up getting it back. So now they've gotten it back. Now this whole time they've kind of been under these Philistines, right? The Philistines had a portion of their land that they're supposed to be taking back. They left off from that because they got one of the things they wanted, and they had been content with that. Samuel's like, listen, man, you got more to do, right? He's bringing into their remembrance what they must do. And that's what people like me and others are supposed to be to you. We are supposed to bring into your remembrance the things in which you are to do, because this life causes us to get slack, causes us to not think upon Yah, or to think upon things of the spirit, and we start to think upon things of the flesh, right? So he's telling them, listen, it behooves you not only to be desirous of liberty. He's saying, listen, you happy, but you still a slave, brethren. And that's what a lot of us are in right now. We got jobs, we got houses, but we still a slave, because oftentimes we still being taxed, right? We still being subject to employers, a lot of us. Many of us have our own businesses, but even in having our own businesses, we still subject to the other nations. We got whatever kind of company we got to go to other nations to get the product, right? That's servitude. That's being dependent. What if these people say, you know what? We ain't gonna sell you nothing. Then what? Is your business over? This is the position that the Philistines had over them, kind of checking them like a little boy, you know. And Saul is telling them, like, listen, you need to fight for your freedom. I know you happy with praising and worshiping. I know you happy with having your ark back and all that, but you need to get back to the business that you're scared of, that you're trying to sweep under the rug. He let them know, ain't no more sweeping it under the rug, brethren. It's time to get about the business. All right. He said, nor are you to be contented with an inclination to get clear of your lords and masters. He's saying, listen, it ain't about running away. See, you got to go face this problem. A lot of us, that's sweeping it on the rug. That's that, man, I ain't going to worry about that. I'm going to move on. I'm going to put my attentions over here. Now, he said, no, ain't no putting your attentions over here. You got to go fight these people. That's like having a bully at school. Every time he see you, he going to take your lunch money. He said, well, you know what? I'm going to hide over here. I'm going to make sure I don't go around where he going to be around. He said, no, you got to go up and fight this dude. Because the Most High is like that. The Most High is not dealing with no suckers, with no chumps. It's like, listen, that's your land. I gave you that land, and I want you to go and take that land. And that's the bottom line, right? Again, nor are you to be contented with an inclination to get clear of your lords and masters, while you still do what will procure your continuance under them. You being lax, you still going along to get along, is going to procure your continuance under them, gonna keep you a slave. He said, be righteous then, and cast wickedness out of your souls, and by your worship supplicate the divine majesty with all your hearts, and persevere in the honor you pay him. For if you act thus, you will enjoy prosperity. You will be freed from your slavery. You will get the victory over your enemies, which blessings it is not possible you should attain. That's what the Most High said. He said, I pour you out a blessing you ain't got room enough to hold, right? Possible you should attain, either by weapons of war, or by strength of your bodies, or by the multitude of your assistants. For the Creator has not promised to grant these blessings by those means. What he said, he has not desired sacrifice. He's desired obedience. So this is another point we need to understand in conquering our enemies, or conquering over things that are adverse to us. He's saying it's not so much about your ability to do it yourself. And that's what a lot of successful people are missing in their lives. They missing the connection to the Most High Yah on a spiritual nature. They missing righteousness, right? Like he said, the spirit and truth. The spirit is the righteousness. The truth is the application thereof. It's the physical application of the spiritual thought. And oftentimes we be missing one of these. I was telling the Ock this just the other day. You know, oftentimes we'll be super spiritual. We'll pray, we'll worship, we'll fast. But our actions, we think the Most High just gonna come and just take care of it. When oftentimes we need to pray and fast for specific strength to go do. That's what Saul is telling them. Because these people, it just said earlier in the thing, they was praying and all that and worshiping him. But Saul is telling them, you need to pray and worship and supplicate. That supplicate is a asking, a pleading with the strength to go fight your enemies. You just praise and saying thank you. He's saying go and ask him to help you do what it is you need to do. And I think we've been made to feel guilty about certain things about that, right? And this whole thing about just believe. Your belief is tested in your action. It's tested in your action. You know, I believe I'm going to get the job I want. But you ain't went and put in no applications. Don't nobody know you looking for no job. But you think you finna get something because you just believe it's going to happen. That, my friend, is foolishness. That's like saying, I'm going to get an apple tree and ain't no damn apple seed nowhere around. You ain't dug no hole. You ain't planted no seed. You ain't watered no seed. You ain't procured it from safety, from the elements and from animals. But yet you think you're going to get something that you haven't put forth any hand to make exist. And that's the problem we have today. I was a part of a conversation the other day where they were speaking about what our enemies have planned for us. These people that run the world and, plan the future and all this, how they have all these detrimental things planned for us. And it's like, that's the same position the Israelites was in at this time, having someone more powerful, more stronger than them over them. And instead of concentrating on supplicating to the Most High, now you can't even supplicate with him unless you right with him. You can't come into the king's presence without being in good standing with him. That's dangerous. I'm gonna go see the king, but he ain't rocking with me right now. I'm gonna go and see the king, but I ain't doing nothing he asked me to do. You trying to get yourself bound and cast into prison. That's what you're trying to get. What you go see this man that got the ability to kill you for, and you act like, well, I don't have to please him. And pleasing him in your office. Husbands not doing husbandly type things and thinking they're going to get something from the Most High. Wives not doing wifely type things and thinking they're going to get something from the Most High. Where do we get this from? I'm not going to do what you tell me to do, but I need your help. This is what Samuel was telling these people. You got something else to do. Thank you for the altar and the tabernacle. Thank you for bringing it back. That man told you, go take the land. Go get all these people out of these lands. They like, yeah, we got some of them out. We was getting them out with the judges and with Joshua and with Moshe. We got some of them out now. And, you gave us the tabernacle and, we lost it and we was upset. And then you gave it back to us and we happy. He's like, but you forgot about taking the rest of the land, though. You lost heart. You got faint-hearted behind the task you got to do. Oh, it's too hard. Man, I don't feel like dealing with her. Man, I don't feel like dealing with him. Man, I don't feel like dealing with that. It's too hard, huh? Hamashiach put you to shame. He said, if I had not came, they'd have had a cloak for their sins. Because it's no, what it is hard. It is hard for a man to go and give his life. Then to go and give his life when he ain't got to. But guess what? He did it. He went and gave his life. That's why Paul said, ye have not suffered unto death. You ain't suffered unto death. So what you talking about is too hard. You can't deal with somebody. It's too hard. And a lot of people like to run from the truth, man. They like to run from the truth. They like to hide. They like to go and gather around them people that say what they itching ears want to hear. They don't want to go to the people that's going to tell them the truth. They want to go to somebody that's going to talk about everything but they issue. Everything but they issue. You know you got to go and do this thing. But you ain't going to talk to somebody who's going to tell you that. You're going to talk to somebody that's going to talk to you about something totally different that'll leave you of the guilt that you already know the things you're supposed to be doing. And that's one thing about the Most High, y'all. That's one thing about him. That guilt, he ain't going nowhere. He ain't going to let it go nowhere. David tried the best he could. He tried the best he could to cover up what he did with Bathsheba. Brought that man in from the war, trying to get him to sleep with his wife to cover up what he did. But you know what? The Most High wouldn't let it happen. The Most High knew what kind of man Uriah was. And it was set up just right. Just right. Look, Josephus said Bathsheba was the most beautiful woman in the land. And David just so happened to see her one night. And she just so happened to be married to the kind of man that ain't finna do what David want him to do to cover up his sin. It said, what is done in the dark shall come to the light. But yet we think we gonna be smart enough. We gonna be inclined enough to get around doing what the Most High done said, do. This one thing about it, you gonna do it. You gonna either do it with joy and gladness of heart, or you gonna do it kicking and screaming. But you gonna do it. And you know, I just feel like it's better to just get on board. So continuing on. Be righteous then, and cast wickedness out of your souls, and by your worship supplicate the divine majesty with all your hearts, and persevere in the honor you pay him. For if you act thus, you will enjoy prosperity. You will be freed from your slavery and will get the victory over your enemies, which blessings it is not possible you should attain, either by weapons of war or by strength of your bodies, or by the multitude of your assistants. For the Most High has not promised to grant these blessings by those means, but by being good and righteous men. And if you will be such, I will be security to you for the performance of the Most High's promises. He said, listen, if he don't do it, you can kill me. This is why certain men are counted to be righteous, because they truly stand on the Most High's word to the point they put their life on the line. They will suffer unto death for the Most High, y'all. Yeah, we'll try to find every reason to get out of doing what he said to do. When Samuel had said thus, the multitude applauded his discourse and were pleased with his exhortation to them, and gave their consent to resign themselves up to do what was pleasing to the Most High. So Samuel gathered them together to a certain city called Mizpah, which in the Hebrew tongue signifies a watchtower. There they drew water and poured it out to the Most High, and fasted all day and betook themselves to their prayers. This is the type of supplication. This is that seeking his face, when he said, if you will turn from your sins and seek my face. That's that fruit meat for repentance that John was talking about to the Pharisees who tried to come get baptized. What have you done showing you really sorry about what it is you done? What have you done to show you really want something from the Most High? That's true supplication. This, their assembly, did not escape the notice of the Philistines. So when they had learned that so large a company had met together, they fell upon the Hebrews with a great army and mighty forces, as hoping to assault them when they did not expect it, nor were prepared for it. This thing affrighted the Hebrews and put them into disorder and terror. So they came running to Samuel. Hey, listen, it's gonna get, listen, this man done told these people. He done told these people what to do. He done gave them instructions. They done followed instructions. Now, mind you too how the Most High worked. Just cause you think you done all you needed to do, you still gotta trust. This is where Moshe was righteous at. Because even when it got difficult, he trusted. And if he doubted, he didn't doubt what the Most High was going to do. Scratch that about him having a doubt, right? When it looked bad, he didn't doubt. He went to the Most High and supplicated again. He saw them like, listen, you said, what's going on? You know, but these people, they run into Samuel like, man, well, what's going on? Now, I thought we was gonna win this thing. I didn't think, it's like this white boy I work with. He said, "Man, I didn't know when I took this job they was gonna expect me to work." He was joking, but that's kind of what these people are saying. They didn't know when they signed up for this it was gonna get real, right? They said they ran to Samuel. Samuel about to give them another speech. So they came running to Samuel and said that their souls were sunk by their fears and by the former defeat they had received, and that thence it was that we lay still, lest we should excite the power of our enemies against us. Now, while thou hast brought us thither to offer up our prayers and sacrifices and take oaths, they took oaths to be obedient. Our enemies are making an expedition of us while we are naked and unarmed. Wherefore, see how Satan worked in conjunction with the Most High to test. We read last week in this same book where Josephus said, Moshe told the people, the Most High brings these kind of situations onto a man to test. He said to test their intestinal fortitude. I want to see where your heart at, right? This is what's happening to them. It said, wherefore we have no other hope of deliverance but by thy means and by the assistance of the Most High shall afford us upon thy prayers to him we shall obtain deliverance from the Philistines. Now, hereupon Samuel bade them be of good cheer and promised them that the Most High would assist them in taking a sucking lamb. He sacrificed it for the multitude and besought the Most High to hold his protecting hand over them when they should fight with the Philistines, and not to overlook them nor suffer them to come under a second misfortune. Accordingly, the Most High hearkened to his prayers and accepting their sacrifice with a gracious intention, and such as was disposed to assist them, he granted them victory and power over their enemies. Now, while the altar had the sacrifice of the had while the altar had the sacrifice of the Most High upon it, and had not yet consumed it wholly, and by its sacred fire the enemy's army marched out of their camp and was put in order of battle, and this in hope that they should be conquerors. Since the Jews were caught in distressed circumstances, as neither having their weapons with them, nor being assembled there in order to fight, but things so fell out that they would hardly have been credited though they had been foretold by anybody. For in the first place, the Most High disturbed their enemies with an earthquake, and moved the ground under them to such a degree that he caused it to tremble and made them to shake, in so much that by its trembling he made some unable to keep their feet and made them fall down. And by opening its chasms, he caused that others should be hurried down into them. After which he caused such a noise of thunder to come among them, and made fiery lightning shine so terribly round about them that it was ready to burn their faces. And he so suddenly took their weapons out of their hands that he made them fly and return home naked. So Samuel with the multitude pursued them to Bethkar, a place so called, and there he set up a stone as a boundary of their victory and their enemies' flight, and called it the stone of power, as a signal of that power the Most High had given them against their enemies. So the Philistines, after this stroke, made no more expeditions against the Israelites, but lay still out of fear and out of remembrance of what had befallen them, and what scourge the Philistines had formerly against the Hebrews, that after this victory was transferred to the Hebrews, that the courage the Philistines had against the Hebrews. Okay. Samuel also made an expedition against the Philistines and slew many of them, and entirely humbled their proud hearts, and took from them that country which, when they were formerly conquerors in battle, they had cut off from the Jews, which was the country that extended the borders of Gath to the city of Ekron. By the remains of the Canaanites were at this time in friendship with the Israelites. Well, I guess I was wrong about him having a second speech. But we see how the Most High aims to make a statement with his people, like he said he was going to do with us. He said he was going to bring us out with the mighty hand. We have to understand what that mighty hand means. He means a great display of his power and his authority, right? Against our enemies. This is what we can expect. So when you hear about things about how, you know, FEMA camps and guillotines, and they want to control the money and all of this, that ain't no more than the Philistines trying to catch you off guard. What we got to do is we got to put away sin from among us, like he told them. Put away the sin from among you. Supplicate to the Most High. Pray, fast, you know, offer sacrifices. Now we know these sacrifices aren't with rams and bullocks anymore. It's more with obedience. It's more with with uh uh atoning for our sins by afflicting ourselves for others, and being a light, and being one that comes to the aid and assistance of others. No greater love than this, that a man should lay down his life. Now, that might not mean our physical life, but sometimes it will be our wants and our desires. We cast them to the side to be of aid and assistance to others. This is the kind of a thing we're called to be this day, right? Chapter 3, book 6 of the Antiquities of the Jews. How Samuel, when he was so infirm with old age that he could not take care of the public affairs, entrusted them to his own sons, and how upon the evil administration of the government by them, the multitude were so angry that they required to have a king to govern them, although Samuel was much displeased. But Samuel the prophet, when he had ordered the affairs of the people after a convenient manner, and had appointed a city for every district of them, he commanded them to come to such cities to have the controversies that they had one with another determined in them. He himself going over those cities twice in a year, and doing them justice. And by that means he kept them in very good order for a long time. And Samuel was like a king unto them. right? Earlier, it called him their general. And the only person over him is the Most High. But these people, in their ignorance, is going to desire to have a king. But I think, all of that was kind of foretold, because without that, the son would have never came, right? The eternal king would have never came. But afterwards, he found himself oppressed with old age and not able to do what he used to do. So he committed the government and the care of the multitude to his sons, the elder of whom was called Joel, and the name of the younger was Abiah. He also enjoined them to reside and judge the people, the one at the city of Bethel, the other at Beersheba, and divided the people into districts that should be under the jurisdiction of each of them. But these men afford us an evident example and demonstration how some children are not of the like dispositions with their parents, but sometimes, perhaps good and moderate, though born of wicked parents. Hold on. This is, but sometimes perhaps good and moderate, though born of wicked parents, and sometimes showing themselves to be wicked, though born of good parents. For these men, turning aside from their father's good courses and taking a course that was contrary to them, perverted justice for the filthy lucre of gifts and brides, and made their determinations not according to truth, but according to bribery, and turned aside to luxury and a costly way of living, so that in the first place they practiced what was contrary to the will of the Most High. So did they in the second place what was contrary to the will of the prophet, their father, who had taken a great deal of care and made a very careful provision of the multitude should be righteous. That's why you can't trust nobody, man. That's why you can't trust anyone that's all about money. All right, we joined by my sister Jasmine. Shalom, sis.
Shalom, shalom, shalom,
Shalom.
family.
We here. Your sister is here as well. She's listening in. Okay.
Thank you for sending me the link, I'm on here,
Of
but I'm on my
course.
lunch break, so I'm keep muting.
Okay. Enjoy it. Eat up. We'll continue on.
I'm gonna eat this word though.
All right. All praises. Yeah, man. We got to be weary of people who seem to have a great concern about money, about fineries, about things, right? It's not that you can't have these things. It's about if that seems to be a person's whole concern, right? They seem to be attached. That's what happened with the rich young man, right? He was so accustomed to things that he couldn't part with them. Now, granted, he wasn't taking bribes and things like that. He just couldn't part with his possessions, right? Because he had a great concern for them. These men, their great concern led them into taking bribes, led them into being unjust. And to be honest, that rich young man, who knows what he might have turned to if someone should have tried to separate him from his riches. Hey man, come on, man. Don't do that. What you want me to do? What you want me to do? See, whenever you so concerned with something you can't part from it, that's when compromise is on the table. That's why Hamashiach couldn't use them. I can't use you if you're able to be compromised. He can't use you if you're too stuck on something to give it up. Because what happens when you are faced with losing it or doing the right thing? If doing the right thing will make you lose it and you don't want to lose it, that's a problem. See? So ask yourself, what in your life are you like that for? And that's anything. That's what this is a hard truth that it ain't got to be money. It could be your children. Man, I'd be cool as long as I just got me and my babies. Well, what if your babies die? Y'all forbid. But what if? Is that going to turn you now? You going to go into depression? You going to go into wickedness? Or are you going to turn and cleave to the Most High? Yeah. Man, I'd be good, man. Long as I got a car, long as I got my house, long as I got my health. What if you lose this stuff? What if your health fails you? What if your job fails you? What if your house burned down? That's why we got to have a trust in the one that created everything. A hope. We got to have a hope in him that whatever he do, he did it for a reason. And if we are in any ways wrong or unjust, that we be made right by these instances. I ain't saying it's easy. When I was in my accident and I was sitting there, literally in the process of dying, if them people wouldn't have came and got me out of that car, I probably would have bled to death internally, my wife included. Our son was somewhere far away from us. And at the time, we didn't know what had happened to him, where he was or nothing. And my mind is so crazy. It just sees stuff. When people say stuff, I can see it instantly in my mind. So my mind went to, what if he ain't alive? What if my wife, because she in the front seat, coughing, crying. I don't know what's going on with her. I can't even see her all the way. At the time, she was bleeding internally. So what if she didn't make it? What's my life going to be like? Am I still going to serve the Most High? Am I still going to be in the truth? Am I still, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we ought not to never go there, but we need to be in some kind of way prepared if y'all should ever see fit to make it happen. We should pray against it. We should honor him enough that he don't judge us in that way, right? That's the main thing. Every time my wife leave this house and come back home, I said, told her, y'all, bringing them back. Because we left the house one day and we didn't come back for weeks. Weeks we didn't come back. She didn't come back for months. So, well, our son, he didn't come back for months. So, sometimes we take things for granted, man. We take things for granted. And we ought not be too tied into anything, anyone, or anything over the Most High. Job lost everything. He wasn't tied to none of it. Now, he loved his wife. He loved his children. The man had just offered up an offering to the Most High for his children in case they had done any sins. Had just offered them up. And here come Hasatan. Does he serve you for no reason? He got this, he got that. Why don't you take it from him? And it's like, a man wasn't tied to none of that stuff. Although he cherished it, he like, listen, the Most High giveth, he taketh away. And I think when we get that mind, we become more solid. But when you got I just ain't gonna be able to make it if this happened. I just ain't gonna be able to make it if that's a chink in your armor. And you got to understand, hell is on the line. Eternal damnation is on the line. Turning, losing hope, losing faith, man, listen, that might send you to eternal damnation. Whatever that might mean. I know as people say, hell ain't real eternal. You think you're going to burn in hell forever and all this now? Whatever it is, it ain't going to be positive. Whatever it is. Because if one is called eternal life and the other one is called the second death. I mean, come on now. You want a part of the second death? So anyway, Samuel's sons turned wicked when he raised them upright. But the people upon these injuries offered to their former constitution government and government by the prophet's sons were very uneasy at their actions and came running to the prophet who then lived at the city Ramah and informed him of the transgressions of his sons and said that he was himself old already and too infirm by that age of his to oversee their affairs in the manner he used to do. So they begged him and entreated him to appoint some sons to be king over them, who might rule over the nation and avenge them of the Philistines, who ought to be punished for their former oppressions. These words greatly afflicted Samuel on account of his innate love of justice and his hatred to kingly government, for he was very fond of an aristocracy, as that made the men that used it of a divine and happy disposition. Nor could he either think of eating or sleeping out of his concern and torment of mind at what they had said. But all that night long did he continue awake and revolve these notions in his mind. While he was thus disposed, the Most High appeared to him and comforted him, saying that he ought not to be uneasy at what the multitude desired, because it was not he, but himself whom they so insolently despised, and would not have to be alone their king, that they had been contriving these things from the very day that they came out of Egypt, that however in no long time they had sorely repent of what they did, which repentance yet could not undo what was thus done for futurity, that they would be sufficiently rebuked for their contempt and the ungrateful conduct that they used towards me and towards thy prophet's office. So I command thee to ordain them such as one as I shall name before to be their king, when thou hast first described what mischiefs kingly government will bring upon them, and openly testify before them into what a great change of affairs they are hasting. So this is what we have to understand. Well, this is what I've gathered from just observing life, observing things like the mafia, observing things like the court system, judging things like the army, different militaries, is that the office of a king, as we know, is not just physical, that it's spiritual, that it's an office, just like a father. It's an office, a wife, it's an office, a son, a daughter. It's an office that transcends just one thing. It's multiple things on multiple levels because it exists in things that can't be touched, right? So this office of a king, right? In its purest form, it's what the Most High does, right? The Most High sits high. He looks down low upon those things in which he oversees. He gives them orders and instructions, and they are to obey his orders and instructions, or they are to face punishment, right? That's why he got angels. But he don't just got all the angels being the same. He got different types of angels or malakim, right? For different offices. You got angels for aid and assistance to the people, right? You got angels of music. You got angels of like punishment and torment, right? You got angels over, over the stars and moon and sun. You got these different offices for these beings, and they all report back to him. He's the king, right? Likewise, everything in the spirit is replicated in the earth. So there's nothing wrong with the office of a king. What Saul is going to point out to them is that you had access to the purest form of what a king is. The purest form. You know why it's the purest form? Because it's the blueprint for what a king is. It don't get no higher than the blueprint. Okay? They want a representation of the blueprint, which they already had in Saul. What they should have asked for was for the Most High to show them another righteous man that they could put in Saul's position other than his sons. That's what they should have asked for. Most High, give us, by your choosing, another righteous man to oversee us, other than Saul's sons who are wicked. That's what they should have asked in righteousness, but that's not what they asked. They want to be like the other nations. See, that's that envy. That's that they call it covetousness. They coveted how the other nations are set up. These other nations are set up by principalities and demonic spirits that sit as lords over them, and they appointed kings. So what Saul is I keep saying Saul, what Samuel is about to point out to them is that when you put a man in this position, he is valuable, which is also why I feel like Saul ended up falling off like he did, because the Most High has always shown that the first choice never works. It's always the second choice. We see that with Adam. He was the first choice. He didn't work out. There had to come a second Adam, right? We see that with I think with Cain. I think Cain was older than Abel. Yeah, no. Okay. I think I'm not 100% sure, but I think Cain was older than Abel. As we know, Cain was considered wicked, Abel considered righteous. We see that with Ishmael and Isaac. Ishmael came first, considered wicked. It went to Isaac, the promise. We see that with Jacob and Esau. Esau was the oldest, discarded for Jacob. We see that even with Reuben, who is the firstborn to Jacob. He didn't get the rights of the firstborn. It passed on to somebody else. We see that in the covenant. The first covenant didn't pan out too well, so we need a second covenant, right? Just different things, man. So let's get into this whole thing. 5. When Samuel had heard this, he called the Jews early in the morning in the Bokar and confessed to them that he was to ordain them a king. But he said that he was first to describe to them what would follow, what treatment they would receive from their kings, and with how many mischiefs they must struggle. For know ye, he said, or said he, in the first place, they will take your sons away from you, and they will command some of them to be drivers of their chariots and some to be their horsemen. The Most High did the same thing. He takes sons out of households and he put them to war, and he put them at his service in different functions. You see, he called Abraham, where he called him at? Out of his father's house. Told him what? Come up out of there. You know what I'm talking about? See, so these characteristics are going to be found in the Most High, except where it gets to wickedness and folly, right? They inviting in the wickedness and folly by removing the Most High and placing a man in there. Command some of them to be drivers of their chariots, and some to be their horsemen and the guards of their bodies, and others of them to be runners before them, and captains of thousands and captains of hundreds. They will also make them their artificers, makers of armor and of chariots and of instruments. They will make them their husbandmen also, and the curators of their own fields, and the diggers of their own vineyards. Nor will there be anything which they will not do at their commands, as if they were slaves bought for money. See, that's another thing too. Samuel wasn't moving on his own accord as far as what he felt about a thing, saying, you know what, I'm gonna kill you because I want to kill you. Now, if anything, it was a what they call it, republic type of a government, as far as having different elders and things to come together on a thing and to judge a thing uniformly, you know. But they're doing away with that and getting into dictatorship, right? Uh, they will not do at. They will also appoint your daughters to be confectioners and cooks and bakers, and these will be obliged to do all sorts of work which women's slaves that are in fear of stripes and torment submit to. See, under Samuel, it's a freedom. It's a kind of a happiness, but under this king, you're gonna be under threat of punishment, under threat of of slavery and bondage. You know, whips. It said, in fear of stripes and torment submit to. Yeah, yes, sir, master. Yes, sir, master. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know what I'm saying? Get to it quick. They will, besides this, take away your possessions and bestow them upon your eunuchs and the guards of their bodies, and will give the herds of your cattle to their own servants, and to say briefly all at once, you and all that is yours will be your servants to your king, and will become no way superior to his slaves. And when you suffer this, see, that's why Paul said, um, uh, uh, howbeit he has called us sons. I'm kind of paraphrasing, but the fact that the Most High didn't consider those that serve him to be his slaves, but said he has called us sons, sons of the Most High, sons of the Creator, right? Sons of Yah. You see the difference? When you put man in there, man gonna make you a slave. Now, David, in his righteousness, he didn't really treat the people in that fashion. He more considered them kinsmen and brethren, but that just added to the righteousness of David. But as we see, there was not a lot of righteous kings. Likewise, any man in authority, we got to compare and contrast the righteousness of the Most High and his rulership, and the righteousness of the wickedness of wicked men. Wicked men want the power and authority. That's why Hamashiach said, don't be like the princes of the Gentiles, asserting authority over one another. Be ye equal. See? Now, it's one thing to have a position in an office that requires you to have last say so, but you still have to see a person as being, you have to hold them in some kind of regard of, this is my, kinsman, this is my wife, this is my child, this is my, somebody of whom you don't just abuse because you can. You really can't, but in certain strength and power, you can. Right? The Most High has power and authority to have us to be slaves. He have, you know what I'm saying? He has power and strength to have us do things we wouldn't want, but he gives us that room to be sons and daughters, right? He gives us room to serve and joy and gladness. Hamashiach said, he made no bones about the fact of, yeah, you gonna be subservient. you gonna be under a yoke and a bond. Don't get it twisted. But it's gonna be lighter than that you're gonna find anywhere else. See, I still got to be the head. I still got to make the hard decisions. But you with me, you're gonna find more comfort with me. You're gonna find more love with me or a hob with me than you're gonna find in any other places. Likewise, should us who find ourselves in leadership have this same type of a mindset, that our yoke be easier, that our burden be lighter upon the necks of those that's under us than they would find anywhere else, that we would be favorable to them and not seen as a slave driver, a tyrant and whatnot. Now, granted, you do got some people that's just dramatic, and a lot of them know not about true bondage and true, true. You know what I'm saying? So oftentimes you gotta go and let them see. You know what I'm saying? Go and find out and see. Because you don't know until you find out. You don't know until you find out. You might think, man, you know what? I'm in the worst possible position I could be in. But then you go and find yourself in the worst position. You say, well, you know what? That's what happened. That's what happened to the prodigal son. I said, man, I want to listen. Give me my inheritance, man. You know what I'm saying? You got your little castle and your little servants and all this old stuff, man. Give me me. You know what I'm saying? I said, give me me and let me go and see what's out here. Let me go see if the grass is greener over here. And when he out there, he squandered everything. He done messed up because he wasn't as smart as he thought. Just wasn't as smart as he thought. And he lost all that. He said, in my father's house, yeah, it wasn't as bad as I thought. I'm paraphrasing. It wasn't as bad as I thought. And he went on back. He went on back home. Found out, hey, listen, it's better to be with you than to be by myself. So that's the difference between the Kadash and the profane, that the righteous among us have to place and have to live in such a way that a person can't help but come to that conclusion. You know what I'm saying? That's the most I said. Try me. Test me. Find out. You know what I'm talking about? So that's what we got to be. So 6, punishment of your evil conduct. Okay. And let's start back up. They will, besides this, take away your possessions and bestow them upon their eunuchs and the guards of their bodies, and will give the herds of your cattle to their own servants. And to say briefly all at once, you and all that is yours will be servants to your king, and will become no way superior to his slaves. And when you suffer thus, you will thereby be put in mind of what I now say. Hey, you gonna remember I done told you. You gonna remember what it said? I tried and told you. You know what I'm saying? And when you repent of what you have done, you will beseech the Most High to have mercy, to show kindness upon you, and to grant you a quick deliverance from your king. But he will not accept your prayers, but will neglect you. What it said? He will laugh at your affliction, because he gave you another way. That's why he gonna laugh at your affliction, because he afforded you another way and you chose something else. That's that 990 boo-boo. You know what I'm saying? That's that, it's your own fault. That's why the mindset has to be to always cast a wide and open net, to always put your best foot forward, to always be the best you could be. Because when a person just continuously refuse, continuously to heed, continuously to turn, that's when you say you can go to hell. You know what I'm saying? And that's what he gonna say. That's what he gonna say. What he say? Depart from me, I never knew you. I gave you your whole life to change. I gave you your whole life to get right. I gave you years of marriage. I gave you years of this and that, of supplicating and trying to reach you, trying to get to you. You don't want to listen. You know what? You can go to hell then. And that's when we be justified. We only justified when we move like that. Some people tapping out, they ain't gave years of nothing. They ain't gave a best of nothing. He tried for 5 minutes. You know what? I'm over. It's over with. I want a divorce. You know what? I'm done with all this leadership stuff. I don't want it. You ain't put no time in. You ain't been long suffering. Nigga had a job for 8 hours. Like I'm saying, you got to put some time in. How we justified in quitting before it even reached its full? Man, I'm out of gas. Man, you on a quarter tank. You are not out of gas. You are being dramatic. You think because it ain't you know what I'm saying? You think because it ain't a full tank, because it ain't 3/4 of a tank, you done got down to a quarter. You say, it's over with. Just dramatic niggas. No, you got to go all the way. You know what I'm saying? You got to go till that light come on. Not even till the light come on. You got to go till it stop. Like they said, till the wheels fall off. And that's what the Most High is calling us to be, so that we'll be justified in our judgments. See, Samuel was justified. Samuel went till he couldn't go no more. Said age came and afflicted this man that he couldn't do his job no more. That's why his sons came up. He went as long as he could. He went till he couldn't go. That means his son's been grown. His son's been grown. He waited till he couldn't do nothing else before they came to power. Have you gone till you can't go no more? Have you done all that you can do, tried all you could try, stood as long as you could stand? Or you just short-winded? Ask yourself. 6. But the multitude was still so foolish to be deaf to these predictions of what would befall them, and too peevish to suffer a determination which they had unjudiciously once made, to be taken out of their mind. For they could not be turned from their purpose, nor did they regard the works of Samuel, but per this word here, I don't know where Josephus pulled this word from, but peremptorily, listen, I need some extra points for that one, insisted on their resolution and desired him to ordain them a king immediately. He didn't told these people all this. And you think with the truth he didn't told, he said, man, listen, they're gonna make your sons and your daughters slaves. They're gonna put a tax on you. They're gonna take what belongs to you and do whatever they want to do with the tax. As we see this day, this is what happens today. You get your check, you see the FICA, you see the the state and the local and all this stuff, and you don't know where this money went. You like, who is FICA them? Who is FICA? FICA's your king. You know what I'm talking about? He didn't tax you. And he didn't went and he did whatever with it that he wanted to do. And you think if you got a chance ahead of time to know about FICA and them and to know these people gonna hit your check, and you got a chance to go another route, you think you do it. But no, you just like these people, your forefathers. You say, hey, listen, we still want it. We still want FICA and them. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it said. It said, the multitude was still so foolish. You gotta understand. It's being called foolish. To go into bondage, to go into servitude when you have the chance of freedom is foolish. And that's what it's being called. Was still so foolish as to be deaf to these predictions. And they're not even predictions. This is prophecy. To these predictions of what would befall them, and too peevish to suffer a determination which they had unjudiciously once made, to be taken out of their mind. For they could not be turned from their purpose, nor did they regard the words of Samuel, but peremptorily insisted on their resolution and desired him to ordain them a king immediately, and not trouble himself with fears of what would happen hereafter, for that it was necessary they should have with them one to fight their battles and to avenge them of their enemies, and that it was no way absurd when their neighbors were under kingly government that they should have the same form of government also. So when Samuel saw that what he had said had not diverted them from their purpose, but that they continued resolute and said, go you, everyone, home for the present. When it is fit, I will send for you as soon as I shall have learned from the Most High who it is that he will give you for your king. Chapter 4 of Book 6, the Antiquities of the Jews. The appointment of a king over the Israelites, whose name was Saul, and this by the command of the Most High. There was one of the tribe of Benjamin, a man of a good family and of a virtuous disposition. His name was Kish, and his son, a young man of a comely countenance and of a tall body. But his understanding and his mind were preferable to what was visible in him. They called him Saul. Now, this Kish had some fine she asses. So it's not cussing when you say asses. Hold on a second. Hey, what are you doing? You what? Some fine she asses that were wandered out of the pasture wherein they fed. For he was more delighted with these than with any other cattle he had. So he sent out his son and one servant with him to search for the beast. But when he had gone over his own, when he had, oh, he had gone, I lost my place. But when he had gone over his own tribe in search of the asses, he went to other tribes. And when he found them not there neither, he determined to go his way home, lest he should occasion any concern to his father about himself. But when his servant that followed him told him, as they were near the city of Ramah, that there was a true prophet in that city, and advised him to go to him, for that by him they should know the upshot of the affair of their asses, he replied that if they should go to him, they had nothing to give him as a reward for his prophecy, for their subsistence money was spent. You know, this is crazy. Not crazy, really. It's really more what they call divine providence or whatever, by the will of the creator. That these she asses came up missing, right? That's what happened first. She asses came up missing. Not just any she asses, but the favorite she asses of the owner. So this owner got many servants, but because he loved these she asses so much, he sent his son to go find them, right? Sent his son searching all over. Just so happened when they get done searching, they are by the man that just so happened to be looking for a man to be king over Israel. Don't you see how the Most High work? Ain't it divine? Ask yourself, have you ever found yourself in situations where it just so happened? You know what I'm saying? That's what we say. Just so happens, some kind of way. You know how we talk. This is what happened here. Divine providence, divine intervention, right? Uh, other tribe, city of Ramah. Okay, but when his servant that followed told him they were near the city of Ramah, that there that that there was a true prophet in that city, and advised him to go to him, for that by him they should know the upshot of the affair of their asses, he replied that if they should go to him, they had nothing to give him as a reward for his prophecy, for their subsistence money was spent. The servant answered that he had still the fourth part of a shekel, and he would present him with that. For they were mistaken out of ignorance, as not knowing that the prophet received no such reward. So they went to him, and when they were before the gates, they lit up certain maidens that were going to fetch water, and they asked them which was the prophet's house. They showed them which it was and bid them to make haste before he sat down to supper. And you know what's crazy too? That he just happened to be home. Mind you, this is a powerful man. Everybody know him. Everybody all over the land knows him and could invite him to come eat here, come eat there. You know, we having an event, come over here. The man could have been. It's probably rare that he is home. He just so happened to be home this day, right? Uh, that show you, man. When y'all put it together, ain't no taking it apart. They showed them which it was and bid them to make haste before he sat down to supper, for he had invited many guests to a feast. See, he already got something going on, but he having it at his house. But he had invited many guests to a feast, and that he used to sit down before those that were invited. Now Samuel had then gathered many together to feast with him on this very account. For a while he every day prayed to the Most High to tell him beforehand whom he would make king. He had informed him of this man the day before, for that he would send him a certain young man out of the tribe of Benjamin about this hour of the day. And he sat on the top of the house in expectation of the times being come. And when the time was completed, he came down and went to suppers. So he met with Saul, and the Most High discovered him to him that this was he who should rule over them. When Saul went to Samuel and saluted him and desired him to inform him which was the prophet's house, for he said he was a stranger and did not know it. When Samuel had told him that he himself was the person, he led him in to supper and assured him. See, agreements, our people made agreements with food, right? They made agreements, they had some food, right? That's why angels came to see Abraham, they ate. You know what I'm saying? That's why uh 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 Hamashiach went and gave his life after what? The Last Supper. Uh That's why he's inviting everybody to a great feast, a great wedding feast. You ain't gonna believe what they do at a wedding feast. They eat. You know what I'm saying? It's all about the breaking of bread and agreements and covenants. That's why we can't be sitting down and eating with everybody, breaking bread with everybody. Because we entering into like a sort of agreement with them. Then Saul went up to Samuel and saluted him and desired him to inform him. Hold on, no, that's not it. When Samuel had told him that he himself, okay, when Samuel had told him that he himself was the person, he led him in to supper and assured him that the asses were found which he had been to seek, and that the greatest of good things were assured to him. He replied, I am too inconsiderable to hope for any such thing, and of a tribe too small to have kings made out of it, and of a family smaller than several other families. But thou tellest me this in jest. Listen, man, that's how you know these people black. He said, man, listen, man, why you playing with me? That's basically what he said. Quit playing with me, man. I'm from Benjamin, man. We too small of a tribe to be having kings and all this old stuff, man. Quit playing with me. That's what he said. And thou tellest me this in jest and makest me an object of laughter when thou discourses, when thou discourses with me of greater matters than what I stand in need of. That's basically what he's saying. Man, quit playing with me, man. You gone on with all that. That's basically what Saul told. Gone on with all that. When he said, thou discourses with me of greater matters than what I stand in need of. Man, I'm not talking about all that, man. I want my she asses. Paul told, Samuel then told him he was gonna be king. He said, man, listen, Quit playing with me, man. I'm from Benjamin. We don't do all that. You know, you talking about more than what I'm looking for. I'm looking for mushy asses. I didn't come here to be laughed at and all this old stuff, man. These our people, man. We talk like that. Still to this day. I told somebody to quit playing with me the other day. It happened. However, the prophet led him to the feast and made him sit down, him and his servant that followed him above the other guests that were invited, which were 70 in number. And he gave orders to the servants to set the royal portion before Saul. And when the time of going to bed was come, the rest rose up, and every one of them went home. But Saul stayed with the prophet, he and his servants, and slept with him. Now, as soon as it was day, Samuel raised Saul out of his bed and conducted him homeward. And when he was out of the city, he desired him to cause his servant to go before, but to stay behind himself, for that he had somewhat to say to him when nobody else was present. Accordingly, Saul sent away his servant and followed him. Then did the prophet take a vessel of oil and poured it upon the head of the young man and kissed him and said, "Be thou a king by the ordination of the Most High against the Philistines, and for avenging the Hebrews for what they have suffered by them. Of this thou shalt have a sign, which I would have take without which I would have thee take notice of. As soon as thou art departed hence, thou wilt find 3 men upon the road, going to worship the Most High at Bethel. The first of whom thou wilt see carrying 3 loaves of bread, the second carrying a kid of goats, the third will follow them carrying a bottle of wine. These 3 men will salute thee and speak kindly to thee, and will give thee 2 of their loaves, which thou shalt accept of. And thence thou shalt come to a place called Rachel's monument, where there shall meet with those that will tell thee thy asses are found. After this, when thou comest to Gabbatha, thou shalt overtake a company of prophets, and thou shalt be seized with divine ruach, divine spirit, and prophecy along with them, till every one that sees thee shall be astonished and wonder and say, whence is it that the son of Kish has arrived at this degree of happiness? And when these signs have happened to thee, know that the Most High is with thee. Then do thou salute thy father and thy kindred. Thou shalt also come when I send thee to Gilgal, that we may offer thank offerings to the Most High for these blessings. When Samuel had said this and foretold these things, he sent the young man away. Now all these things fell out to Saul according to the prophecy of Samuel. See, this is what a prophet do, man. All this stuff these people be talking about, claiming themselves prophet and prophetess and stuff. Man, these people don't be talking about nothing, man. These people don't be saying stuff before it happened exactly how it happened. Stuff be kinda close, but kinda not, and all this stuff, man. You know, people just be people, and they try to take on these offices, trying to resemble scripture and all that. Hello, mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check. Okay, okay, we in there. Can I be heard? Y'all hear me? Somebody in the chat. Shout out to Ak Ezekiah. Shout out to Sis Alicia Colerain, her and her Ish. Shout out to Mikael Gabar Yasharal. Shout out to everybody supporting. Shout out to them likes and them hearts. Get them up, get them up. All right, let's continue on. I hope y'all are being baruch by this message today. Hope you're getting something out of it. I'm gonna continue on in it. Uh, but as soon as Saul came into the house of his kinsman Abner, whom indeed he loved better than the rest of his relations. He was asked by him according to his journey and what accidents happened to him therein, and he concealed none of the other things from him. No, not his coming to Samuel the prophet, nor how he told him the asses were found, but he said nothing to him about the kingdom and what belonged thereto, which he thought would procure him envy. And when such things are heard, they are not easily believed, nor did he think it prudent to tell those things to him, although he appeared very friendly to him, and one whom he loved, and the rest of his relations considering, I suppose that human nature really is that no one is firm is a firm friend, neither among our intimates nor of our kindred, nor do they preserve that kind of disposition when the Most High advances men to great prosperity, but they are still ill natured and envious at those that are in eminent station. Hey man, that's what they said, man. Like, you think people be cool. People be cool until a certain point, a certain time that interests don't align. And people be cool because it just so happened that their interests align most of the time, and it's going good because they align. And what happened when they don't? What happened when they don't align? What happened when a person don't agree with something you do? They don't agree with it. Y'all cool. You just don't agree with what you do. Or, like Saul stated, envy comes in, you know, envy, jealousy comes in, malice comes in, hatred comes in. Y'all forbid that it be our doing, you know, but these things happen, and these things might be on us. We might be the ones with the envy. We might be the ones with the hatred and the jealousy, but may y'all show us these things, and may we purge these things from us, right? Because we need to find these things and find them early and get them out, right? The worst thing you could have is to have some evil in you that is dormant, because the fact it ain't been brought out really ain't the good thing. The good thing only comes when it's brought out and it's cast out. And oftentimes you don't even know what's in you because you ain't ever been put in the situation. Like I said earlier about losing your kids, losing loved ones. You don't know what it's like because you ain't never done it. You ain't never been in a position to do it. We'll say, man, I'm gonna stand in that day. I'm gonna be strong in that day. That day ain't never came. People say, man, you know, I die for the most high. I let them chop my head off in the guillotine. Yeah, that sound cool. Wait till you get up to that blade and it got your brothers and sisters' blood on it. And it stank because blood stank. Dead bodies stank. People go to the bathroom on themselves when they die, don't you? So now they done killed who knows how many people ahead of you. And, they bodies off to the side and all this old stuff. And you might think you can stand until you get there and you're like, hey man, listen, what I gotta do to work? What I gotta do to work this thing out? You know what I'm saying? What I gotta do to work. So that's why we have to always consider these things, man. I consider torment and you know, decapitation and all this. I consider it all the time. I think about it all the time. Because you got to be able to take your mind there just to be acquainted. Not to say you have to succumb to it or be fearful, but you need to be acquainted. You need to build resistance up against that day. In my opinion, I could be wrong as far as for you, but in my opinion, for me, I need to be acquainted, me personally. But anyway, then Samuel called the people together at the city of Mizpah and spake to them in the words of the following: which he said he was to speak by the command of the Most High, that when he had granted them a state of liberty and brought their enemies into subjection, he said, listen, when I had made your enemies your footstool, then we're going to appoint a king under you. That's kind of what's going to happen in the end times. The Most High is going to make our enemies our footstool, and He's going to give the government to His Son. And I said this earlier, we so worried about, end times and the great tribulation, which I don't believe in all this stuff. We've been in the tribulation. What you think happened to our people all these years? And they was hanging families, and they was putting live children in swamps for alligator bait. When they was cutting our women's stomachs open and pulling these babies out to give them to the alligators. When they was, you know, dissecting our women's vaginas, trying to learn about vaginas with no anesthesia. What you think that was to them? They kidnapping our kids, torturing them, draining their blood and all this stuff. Now every day they coming up missing, taking their organs out their bodies and all this stuff. What do you think has been going on? You think, you know, this anyway. We should be looking. Well, for one, we all should be endeavoring to a level of righteousness with the Most High, that He would intercede on our behalf. That's what happened earlier in this story. These people interceded with the Most High for Him to 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 bring them out with the mighty hand against their enemies. That's what we're supposed to be doing, instead of being fearful and scared. Woe is us, woe is me. Who gonna war with the beast and all this old stuff. It's like, how is the beast gonna war with our Father? Got to be our mindset. you know. But then we got to be worthy sons. We can't be like Saul's sons, out here wicked, deserving a punishment. Be like Eli's sons, you know. And I think that's what we get confused. We be thinking we the good sons, you know, like a Isaac, like a Jacob, the good son who the father looks upon like, man, that's my son right there. Like a Joseph or something. You know what I'm saying? We think we that. In reality, we be Eli and them. You know what I'm saying? Eli's sons. We be Samuel's sons. You know what I'm saying? We be Absalom and all this whole stuff. Absalom. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, we really just got to be mindful of this, man. It's so easy to just it's so easy to get sidetracked, or to say, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to talk about that, man. You know, let's sing a song. you know, come on, you know, let's you know, pray for the Ruach. And it's like, man, listen, it's standards to this. Not that there's nothing wrong with singing a song, not there's nothing wrong with praying for the Ruach, but when you got to be a certain way to get it. Hey man, I rob, I steal, I kill. I want to pray for the Ruach, you know. I rob, I steal, I kill. I want to sing a song to the Most High. That's crazy. Like saying, man, I want to be in shape, but I'm gonna do nothing but eat sweets and junk food all day. And I'm gonna pray, and I'm gonna, sing songs to the Most High. That's what people be doing, and they get around other people with the same mindset, and somebody that's saying, no, man, you first of all, you need to eat right. You need to cut out the folly and get with the right. Like, man, I gone somewhere, man. Nobody want to hear all that, man. Man, I want, I'm doing me, man. You being negative, man. You ain't got the spirit. That's how they do. Do I not got the spirit? Because I'm trying to tell you the Most High not cool with this that you doing? Because somebody else won't tell you. They'll jump to something else, talk about something else. Your issue ain't something else. Your issue is that you doing the wrongness. And there's a culture today with our people that this is their mindset. They won't. Like the people said, say to the seers, see not. Say to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, and prophesy unto us smooth things. This is the Negro man and the Negro woman today. First of all, this is most men and most women today. They don't want to hear about what's right. They want to hear about the smooth thing. You know what I'm saying? Sade in them. They want the smooth operator. You know, we ain't got, the Most High don't move like that. It said through great persecution will you enter into salvation. That don't sound smooth. Not only persecution from your enemies, persecution from the adversary, Hasatan, the devil, persecution of your flesh. You know, man, come on, man. We got to stop it, man. I'm not one of them ones. That's why I don't get a lot of people on my channel. That's why I don't have a lot of views on my videos and all this whole stuff, man. Cause it's not sweet over here, man. You know what I'm talking about? This is Sour Patch Kids over here. You know what I'm saying? It's sour first. Well, no. It's a Sour Patch. Yeah, Sour Patch. Sweet first. I mean, sour first, sweet later. Or is it sweet first, sour later? I don't know. But over here, it's sour first. I'm gonna cut you. I'm gonna cut you first. Cut you down. Cut myself. I'm not just cutting you. Cutting myself. And then we gonna get to the sweet things. Because once we can conquer the rough and the rugged, then we worthy of the sweet. And I think that'd be the issue. We want microwave, remote control, easy does it type salvation. And nothing in the book speaks to that. Nobody had it easy. Nobody. From Abraham to uh you know, Isaac. Isaac fought wars and all this stuff and was going through drama. You know, the man died blind. Nobody's entering in without no hardship. You know, I mean, what are we expecting? Anyway, man, let me keep on, man, because I've been talking about this stuff for 4 years now. That when he had granted them a state of liberty and brought their enemies into subjection, they were become unmindful of his benefits and rejected the Most High, and that he should not be their king, and not considering that it would be most to their advantage to be presided over by the best of beings. For the Most High is the best of beings, and they chose to have a man for their king, while the kings will use their subjects as beasts according to the violence of their own wills and inclinations and other passions as wholly carried with the lust of power, but will not endeavor so to preserve the race of mankind as his own workmanship and creation, which for that very reason the Most High would take care with that's a cake of. That is a misspell. The Most High would take care of. But since you have come to a fixed resolution, and this injurious treatment of the Most High was quite prevailed over you, dispose yourselves by your tribes and scepters and cast lots. When the Hebrews had done so, the lot fell upon the tribe of Benjamin. And when the lot was cast for the families of this tribe, that which was called Matri was taken. And when the lot was cast for the single persons of that family, Saul, the son of Cush, was taken for their king. And when the young man knew this, he prevented their sending for him, and immediately went away and hid himself. I suppose that it was because he would not have it thought that he willingly took the government upon him. Nay, he showed such a degree of command over himself and of modesty that while the greatest part are not able to obtain their joy even in the gaining of small advantages, but presently show themselves publicly to all men, this man did not only show nothing of that nature when he was appointed to be the the master over so many and so great tribes, but crept away and concealed himself out of the sight of those he was to reign over, and made them seek him, and that with a good deal of trouble. So when the people were at a loss and solicitous because Saul disappeared, the prophet besought the Most High to show where the young man was and to produce him before them. So when they had learned of the Most High, the place where Saul was hidden, they sent men to bring him. And when he was come, they set him in the midst of the multitude. Now he was taller than any of them, and his stature was very majestic. Now, look at the mindset of Saul at the start. At the start of this whole thing, Saul was very humble. He was very meek. I think I'm gonna come back on the screen for this one because this is deep. This is very, very deep now. All right. When Saul started this thing, he was very meek and very humble. For those of you that know the story of Saul, you know this didn't last long, right? You know, Saul ended up messing up pretty bad. You know, he ended up being possessed by demonic spirits. You know, he ended up trying to kill a righteous man and all of that. But you see what power does to people? This is what happened with Samuel's sons. They had something in them that eventually led them to wickedness. And that's what happened with Saul. It was something in him, you know, although at this point it don't really show anything that's wicked in him. You know, he's not said to have been previous. He's not said to have been a man who was wicked, who was doing wrong or any of that. He was said to be upright. He was modest. He didn't even seek after the kingdom. They kind of put it on him. He hid and you know, like he just accepted it. He didn't want it, but he accepted it. He went from that to being the kind of man who would kill a righteous man to keep him from taking it. We see this happening with leaders of assemblies today. People that start out just like Saul, they start out meek and humble. They just want to serve the Most High. They just want to wake their people up. But once they start getting power, once they start getting authority, we see them fall from esteem or fall from grace. And we see them become tyrants. That's what happened to Saul. He became a tyrant. We see them going against the will of the Most High. That's what happened with Saul. And we see them going from being desired and being accredited for their attributes to being looked at as being just wicked. And that's what we see with Saul. And that's what we see with these leaders, these groups, these camps, assemblies. At one time, it was great men. You'd be like, man, hey man, that's a good brother. Now that brother off. Everybody can't handle power. Everybody can't handle authority. Everybody can't handle the spotlight. And that's what Samuel told him at the start of this thing. You taking yourself from out of the power and authority of the Most High to put yourself under the inclinations and the fallacies of men. And that's what happened. And this is going to continue happening. Everybody, that's my moray. That's my elder. You're putting yourself under the fallacy and the inclinations of men. And the inclinations, if they are not really geared towards the Most High, we like to hope these men are. And not all men are inclined towards wickedness, right? There are some good elders out there. There are good leaders, good mores. Shout out to them. May the Most High increase their hand 100-fold. But let's be honest. Most men are inclined to wickedness. Am I wrong? They said at the start of this, it's about 400 years of the kingship from Samuel to I want to say from Samuel to who was the last king? Jehoiakim or something like that. I think it's about 400 years, somewhere in there. It's a lot. Not 400. I'm sorry. It might be 120 or something like that. Anyway, it's a lot. And it's only been about maybe 10 kings who was righteous. I don't even know if it was 10. Maybe like 6 or 7 or something like that. Only about 6 or 7. 6 to 10 kings who was righteous out of 2 or 3 times that. And this is a problem. We like to think now because we waking up and all this that our people always been righteous, always been good, always we kings and priests, we the Israelites and all this. So and I just like to point out to people like, man, have you read the book? You know what I'm saying? People say this today. You know, we just now granted, we come from a cloth of great men. But those great men was too and few. See, those great men was too and few. Most of our people, when those great men was around, they was the two and few that was righteous. Everybody else was inclined to some folly. And I don't think we put that in the context today. I think we find out we the people and we just immediately put all good stuff. All good stuff. It's good. We righteous. Yeah. Most high people. It's chosen people. Yeah. We also the one he said, you a whore and you sleep under every green tree. Says there is no gods you have not lain with. He said, you've taken my children and killed them. You've given them over to idols. He said, you have brought up strangers unto me. We forget about that. Hey, man, listen, we don't know nothing about that, man. We kings and priests. Kings and He said, man, you've been a wicked wife, you and your sister. Judah and Israel. We don't want to talk about that. This is all good. It's all smooth. We always been the best. We the best of the best. No, you're not. When you are obedient, when you are as you should be, as pertains to the Most High Yah, yes, you are the best of the best. But that's not even you being the best. That's you manifesting the characteristics of who is the best. You know, you become a replica of the best. But in your own nature, in your own self, outside of that, wicked as the day is long. And we got to know it. We got to understand. That's a humility we got to come with. But anyway, let's get back on to the thing, man. I just wanted to point that out because it seems like I look at my timeline and, you know, I got kinsmen. I got, you know, blood, family line people that talk like this. Oh, the Medomites and you know, the heathen and other nations and they gonna, you know, we gonna serve them and salvation is only for the Jews and all this old stuff. I said, man, do you know the Most High talk about us more than he talk about them? Like, do you know that? You know he talk about punishing us being wicked, us being unclean, us being foolish, us being all. You know he talk about us more than he talk about them. Yeah, we gonna wake up and we gonna only talk about them and we ain't gonna talk about us. I mean, help me understand it. Somebody help me understand it. I don't understand it. I hob my people and I hob you enough to tell you the truth. And I'm like Paul said, I would that you not be ignorant, brethren. I don't want you to be ignorant. I don't want you to be unknowing of your status. And your status is negative points. Okay, you got negative points. You know why you got negative points? You've been celebrating Christmas, Thanksgiving, Valentine's Day. You've been immodest. You've been immoral. You've been all these things against the Creator of the heavens and the earth. He had to send his son to die for those transgressions so you could be able to get in good standing to come back with him. And you don't get on good standing automatically, no. You got to get on good standing by being reborn. That means you got to die unto yourself, die unto your need to want to celebrate the Thanksgiving, to want to eat the unclean meats, to want to be an adulterer, to want to be a hater, to want to be an envier, to want to be one who is jealous, to want to be all these negative characteristics. You got to die to yourself. And then you raise up to be one who is loving, who is long suffering, who is temperate, who, you know what I'm saying? You have to live to the fruits of the spirit now. You look down your timeline, you see a bunch of people, they living to a culture that's been dead. You live into a culture that's been dead, that's been stripped from you. It's been go back to Isaiah chapter 3. Go back to Isaiah chapter 1 tell you all your feast days and stuff, all your little offerings, all your little new moons, celebrations, all that stuff you're doing. He said, man, I don't like it. I don't like it because you've been wicked. Then you go to Isaiah 3. You say, you know what, man? Give me all this stuff I gave you. Give it here. Show me where he gave it back to you. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. But anyway, that might be too deep for some people. Well, let's get on back into this thing here. We're going to close out the chapter. And we're going to get on up out of here. We ain't going to close out the book. We're going to close out the chapter. 6. We might do 5. Yeah. We're gonna do 5. That's gonna be the last one. Then said the prophet, the Most High gives you this man to be your king. See how he is higher than any of the people and worthy of this dominion. So as soon as the people had made acclamation, the Most High saved the king. The prophet wrote down what would come to pass in a book and read it to the hearing of the king and laid it up in a book in the tabernacle of the Most High to be a witness to future generations of what he had foretold. And when Samuel had finished this matter, he dismissed the multitude and came himself to the city of Ramah, for it was his own country. Saul also went away to Gibeah, where he was born, and many good men there were who paid him the respect that he was due to him, but the greater part were ill men who despised him and derided the others, who neither did bring him presents, nor did they in affection or even in words regard to please him. Chapter 5, Saul's expedition against the nation of the Ammonites and victory over them and the spoils he took from them. After 1 month, the war which Saul had with Nahash, the king of the Ammonites, obtained him respect from all the people, for this Nahash had done a great deal of mischief to the Jews that lived beyond Jordan by the expedition he had made against them with a great and warlike army. He also reduced their cities into slavery, and that not only by subduing them for the present, which he did by force and violence, but by weakening them by subtlety. I think that's spelled wrong. But by weakening them by subtlety and cunning, that they might not be able to afterward to get clear of the slavery. They were under him, for he put out the right eyes of those that either delivered themselves to him upon terms or were taken by him in war. And this he did, that when their left eyes were covered by their shields, they might be wholly useless in war. Now, when the king of the Ammonites had served those beyond Jordan in this manner, he led his army against those that were called Gileadites. And having pitched his tent at the metropolis of his enemies, which was the city of Jabesh, he sent ambassadors to them, commanding them either to deliver themselves up on condition to have their right eyes plucked out or to undergo a siege and to have their cities overthrown. He gave them their choice whether they would cut off a small member of their body or universally perish. However, the Gileadites were so affrighted at these affairs that they had not courage to say anything either to them, neither that they would deliver themselves up, nor they would fight him, but they desired that he would give them 7 days respite, that they might send ambassadors to their countrymen and entreat their assistance. And if they came to assist them, they would fight. But if that assistance was impossible to be obtained from them, they said they would deliver themselves up to suffer whatever he pleased to inflict upon them. Now that's cold. Man said, listen, you could cut off a piece of your body, or I could kill you. Hey, listen, that's like Saul. That's the movie Saul. You know what I'm saying? It was like, listen, here go this key. In order to get to this key to free yourself, you're gonna have to cut your arm off. That's cold blood. What would you do in that situation? Now, granted, fighting this person is pretty much a death sentence. Fighting them on your own without the help and the aidance of the Most High Yah, without the help and the aidance of divine intervention, you're not finna beat these people. So the question is, would you rather die or would you cut off yourself cut off a small piece of your body, a finger, a toe, you know? I don't even think he want fingers and toe. I think he want like hands and feet and arms and legs. That's wild. That is crazy, crazy. You know, and who knows what they gonna do when they kill you, if they even kill you. You got to think these ain't guns and bombs, these are knives and spears. So what if they go through cutting people and you still alive and they come back and torture you later? That's crazy. That's just too much. So Nabash, contemning the multitude of the Gileadites, and the answer they gave allowed them a respite and gave them leave to send to whomsoever they pleased for assistance. So they immediately sent to the Israelites, city by city, and informed them that Nabash to had threatened to do to them, and what great distress they were in. Now people fell into tears and grief at the hearing of what the ambassadors from Jabesh said, and the terror they were in permitted them to do nothing more. But when the messengers were come to the city of King Saul and declared the dangers in which the inhabitants of Jabesh were, the people were in the same afflictions as those in other cities, for they lamented the calamity of those related to them. And when Saul was returned from his husbandry into the city, he found his fellow citizens weeping. And when upon inquiry he had learned the cause of the confusion and sadness they were in, he was seized with a divine fury and sent away the ambassadors from the inhabitants of Jabesh and promised them to come to their assistance in the third day and to beat their enemies before sun rising, that the sun upon its rising might see that they had already conquered and were freed from the fears they were under. And he bid some of them stay to conduct them the right way to Jabesh. Hey, listen, ain't nothing like being in trouble and needing help. And somebody say, you know where, we got you. I'm there. Shout out to Saul. We see Saul has some good attributes. And that's the thing. Just because a person cool, just because a person got some things about him you like and all this stuff. Listen, King David still got to come take his spot. And that's the thing about it. You know, we'd be like, nah, he cool. Like, he don't really gotta die. He don't really gotta move. Yeah, he do. Yeah, he do. That's what they said. Don't sit in places too high for you, lest one higher than you should come take your place. And then you got to get up and move, and you're going to look silly. Everybody's going to laugh at you. So, that's the thing about it, man. Just cause a person cool, just cause a person got some positive traits, that don't mean they're going to last. That don't mean, you know, they're going to endure to the end. You got to endure to the end. He that endures to the end shall be saved. So, being desirous to turn the people to this war against the Ammonites by fear of the losses they should otherwise undergo, and that they might the more suddenly be gathered together, he cut the sinews of his oxen and threatened to do the same to all such as did not come to their armor to Jordan the next day and follow him and Samuel the prophet, whithersoever they should lead them. So they came together. They listen, put some fear on. They listen, cut the sinews of his oxen. I think the sinews is I think that's the leg or something. Let's see. Let's see what a sinew is. It's either the leg or the throat. I think it's the leg though. Man, my phone been acting up. Give me a second. What is a sinew? Uh, oh, well, it's a piece of tough tissue that connects bone to bone. It don't say what part of the bone. I mean, that he cut. So, so they came together out of fear of the losses they were threatened with at the appointed time, and the multitude was numbered at the city of Bezek, and he found the number of those that were gathered together besides of the tribes of Judah to be 700,000. When those of that tribe were 70,000, so he passed over Jordan and presided. So it was 770,000 men altogether, and proceeded in march and all that night furlongs and came to all that night 30 furlongs and came to Jabesh before the sun rising. So he divided the army into three companies and fell upon their enemies on every side on the sudden. And when they expected no such thing, and joining battle with them, and slew a great many of the Ammonites, as also their king Nabash, this glorious action was done by Saul and was related with great commendation of him to all the Hebrews, and he thence gained a wonderful reputation for his valor. For although there were some of them that contemned him before, they now changed their minds and honored him and esteemed him as the best of men. For he did not content himself with having saved the inhabitants of Jabesh only, but he made an expedition into the country of the Ammonites and laid it all waste, and took a large prey, and so return to his own country most gloriously. And that's another thing too. The Most High servants, we see that they don't just do it a little way. They give 110. They go above and beyond. That's what happened with uh what's that prophet, man? Well, he was the captain of the Jehu. That's what happened with Jehu. He didn't just do a little bit. He's supposed to kill uh, what's old boy that was married to Jezebel, man? Ahaz, Ahaz or something, A something. But anyway, he killed the man, killed all his sons, killed all them. He cleaned the whole house out. You know, Hamashiach went above and beyond. All his servants, they do it big. They do it real, real big for the Most High with a mighty hand. Most High move with a mighty hand. His servants move with a mighty hand. All right. Returned to his own country most gloriously, most esteemed. So the people were greatly pleased at this excellent performances of Saul and rejoiced that they had constituted him their king. They also made a clamor against those that pretended he would be of no advantage to their affairs. And they said, where now are these men? Let them be brought to punishment with all the things and multitudes usually say when they are elevated with prosperity against those that lately had despised the authors of it. But Saul, although he took the goodwill and affection of these men very kindly, yet did he swear that he would not see any of his countrymen slain that day, since it was absurd to mix this victory which Yah had given them with the blood and slaughter of those that were of the same lineage with themselves, and that it was more agreeable to be men of a friendly disposition than to betake themselves to feasting. And this is working out for them. It's going well for them. They didn't ask for a king. They got rebuked for asking to be a king. Everybody wasn't with it. You know, the Most High said, "You ain't gonna like it. You can get it, but you ain't gonna like it." Samuel, it ain't. It's gonna happen. You ain't gonna like it. So now it's going good. Hey, yeah, yeah. Who's talking all that stuff? Who's the one talking all that stuff? Look, look, look. They just don't know. For those of you that know the story of Saul, you know it's gonna get bad. So imagine hearing these people talking how they talk, like it's working out. Everybody who's talking junk, what now? Where y'all at now? Where y'all at now talking all that junk? Where these people gonna be when Saul turned wicked and Saul out here persecuting people? And you know what I'm saying? Where them people gonna be? See, whenever you up, you gotta prepare for being down. And whenever you down, you gotta prepare for being up. So you be acquainted with both ends of the stick. Some people ain't acquainted with the other end. That's why when it fall on them, they don't know. Some people they riding good, they got money, they got cars. What happened when you lose that, right? And some people used to being down, they used to being bummy. They ain't never had nothing, don't know nothing, ain't never had nothing. What happened when they get it? They mess it up, they squander it because they weren't prepared. You know, people that had a lot and lost it, they end up being destroyed because they don't know how to be on the other end. Most I said, be knowledgeable of all things. You need to be able to be whatever you need to be at any point in time and be it uprightly. You know what I'm talking about? Rightly, with all righteousness and joy and gladness of heart. All right. Although he took the goodwill and affection. Okay. We had 4. And when Samuel had told them that he ought to confirm the kingdom to Saul by a second ordination of him, they all came together to the city of Gilgal, for thither did he command them to come. So the prophet anointed Saul with the Kodash oil in the light of the multitude and declared to him to be king the second time. And so, you know what? I want to say Hamashiach is going to be anointed a second time because we know he was anointed at the baptism. No, he was anointed before his burial. But a baptism was more of an anointing than the woman putting the oil on his she put it on his hair? Yeah, than her doing it to him. So I don't know. But anyway, uh anyway, he's anointed twice. Uh And so the government of the Hebrews was changed into a regal government. For in the days of Moses and his disciple Joshua, who was their general, they continued under an aristocracy. But after the death of Joshua for 18 years in all, the multitude had no settled form of government, but were in an anarchy. After which they returned to their former government, then by permitting themselves to be judged by him who appeared to be the best warrior and most courageous, whence it was that they called the interval of their government the judges or the Shaphatim. Then did Samuel the prophet call another assembly also and said to them, I solemnly adjure you by the Most High Almighty, to who brought those excellent brethren, I mean Moshe and Aaron, into the world and delivered our fathers from the Egyptians and from slavery. They endured under them, that you will not speak what you say to gratify me, nor suppress anything out of fear of me, nor be overborne by any other passion, but say, what have I ever done that was cruel or unjust? Or what have I done out of lucre or covetousness or to gratify others? Bear witness against me if I have taken an ox or a sheep or anything, which yet when they are taken to support me and it is esteemed blameless, or have I taken an ox for mine own use of anyone to his grief? Lay someone such crime, lay some one such crime to my charge. Now we are in your king's presence. He said, listen, if I look, he the king. The man can do whatever he want to do. He said, if I didn't done anything to you, bring it up now. Tell it to the king. Let him take care of business. But they cried out that no such thing had been done by him, but that he had presided over the nation after a Kodash and righteous manner. Hey, listen, we got to be as blameless as Samuel was. What have we done wrong? What we do wrong? Did I turn on you? Did I cross you out? Did I lie to you? Did I cheat you? Did I steal something from you? What? If you got something, bring it out. Likewise, we got to be the same way, you know. And if it is anything wrong, those who've been wrong, they need to step forth so that a amendment could be made, an atonement could be made. You know, don't be quiet and all this stuff, and I'm gonna bring it to you. Like, no, bring it up now, bring it up before others, so that when I say, can't nobody say nothing, I can say that. Don't be hiding. I didn't bring it up then because I didn't want to make a scene. No, nigga, I told you bring it up so we can be about the business of it, right, and take care of it. You know what they say: speak now or forever hold your peace. Verse 6. Hereupon Samuel, when such a testimony had been given him by them all, said, since you grant that you are not able to lay anything to my charge hitherto, come on now, and do you hearken while I speak with great freedom to you. You have been guilty of great impiety. Listen, you ain't got no charges on me. I got some charges on you. Let's talk about it. You have been guilty of great impiety against the Most High in asking you a king. It behooves you to remember that our grandfather Jacob came down into Egypt by reason of a famine with 70 souls only of our family, and that their prosperity multiplied there to many thousands, and whom the Egyptians brought into slavery and hard oppression, that the Most High himself, upon the prayers of our fathers, sent Moshe and Aaron, who are brethren, and gave them power to deliver the multitude out of their distress, and this without a king. These brought us into this very land which you now possess. And when you enjoyed these advantages from the Most High, you betrayed his worship and religion. Nay, moreover, when you were brought under the hands of your enemies, he delivered you, first by rendering you superior to the Assyrians and their forces, and then made you to overcome the Ammonites and the Moabites, and last of all, the Philistines. And these things have been achieved under the conduct of Jephthah and Gideon. What madness, therefore, possessed you to fly from the Most High and to desire to be under a king? Hey, listen, that is a cut down. You want to talk about cut? You want first of all, have I done anything wrong to you? That's no, you ain't done anything wrong. Well, let me show you what you done wrong to the Most High. Yet have I ordained him for king, whom he chose for you. However, that I may make it plain to you that the Most High is angry and displeased at your choice of kingly government. I will so dispose him that he shall declare this very plainly to you by strange signals, for what none of you ever saw here before. I mean, a winter storm in the midst of harvest. I will entreat the Most High and will make it visible to you. Now, as soon as he had said this, the Most High gave such great signals by thunder and lightning and the descent of hail as attested the truth of all that the prophet had said, insomuch that they were amazed and terrified and confessed that they had sinned and had fallen into sin through ignorance, and besought the prophet as one that was tender and gentle father to them. Hey, that's when they get some act right, you know. So as one that was tender and gentle father to them, to render the Most High so merciful as to forgive this their sins, which they had added to those other offenses whereby they had affronted him and transgressed against him. So he promised them that he would beseech the Most High and persuade him to forgive them these their sins. However, he advised them to be righteous and to be good and ever to remember the miseries that had befallen them on account of their departure from virtue, as also to remember the strange signs the Most High had shown them, and the body of laws that Moshe had given them, and they had any desire of being preserved and made happy with their king. But he said that if they should grow careless of these things, great judgment would come from the Most High upon them and upon their king. And when Samuel had thus prophesied to the Hebrews, he dismissed them to their own houses, having confirmed the kingdom of Saul the second time. You know what? That speech I was talking about, I think it's in 6, man, but we didn't went much too far. We didn't went much too far. Who we got in the building? Say shalom in the chat so I can know who you is in the building. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to everybody that's in here. Say something. Talk to me. But that's what I got. Hit that like button if you ain't hit it already. Hit that like button, comment, say shalom, shalom, whatever you got. Help the algorithm. Share the video on your pages. Tag somebody in the comments. Get this message out. The takeaway for one is that we really got to be all the way down with the Most High. You know, we can't be foul weather friends. And that's kind of what the nation was. They was foul weather. They was cool when things was going. But when things get a little tight, things get a little rough, people go to falling off to the wayside. People, I don't know. And why the Most High doing this? Now, if you upright, if you stay, if you stay right, you stay obedient, you know, and being obedient ain't just for a time. It's continuous, brethren. We can't say, you know, I didn't done this, I didn't done that. No, I am doing still to this day this and doing to this day that. Because when we stop, when we cut ourselves short, you know, we asking for judgment. We asking like the people did. They said, you know, you done brought us this far with judges, you know, with Moshe, with Aaron, with you know, Gideon and Deborah. And we appreciate all that. But now we want a king. No, we got to be content with what the Most High is. Because they thought it was a small thing to ask for that king. They didn't think they was disrespecting the Most High. But they was. The 66 don't talk about the hailstorm and all that. You know, it just talk about the fact of the Most High stated himself to Samuel that he felt disrespected by them. And that is enough. That's enough for the Most High to be at odds with you. How you gonna be at odds with the creator of everything and think you're gonna be okay? It don't work. So we ought to seek daily to not be at odds with him, to be at peace with him. Right? That's what I pray. That um that if I have committed any sin against you, that you bring them into my remembrance, that I might repent and be in good standing with you, that I might enter into your eternal Malkut, or to your eternal kingdom. It's the only way you're getting in, if you're in good standing. Ain't no getting in. The Most High don't work like us. The Most High don't do this half this, half that. That's why he gives you day. He said, I have stretched out my hands all the day long to a stiff-necked people. That means it's opportunity for you to come back, to be in good standing with me. In the book, the Apocalypse of Paul, Paul said, I want to see what it's like when a righteous man die. I want to see what it's like when a wicked man die. When the wicked man die, he goes off into torments, right? Paul was down there seeing the people in torments. He started crying. Now, Paul was with an angel. When Paul started crying, the angel said, Do you care about these people more than the Most High care about these people? He said the Most High ministered to these people daily. Said he sent messengers to these people daily. And they turned and they died in their sins. And this is the payment for their sin. What you crying for? You right. You know what I'm saying? He got himself together. And that's the thing about it. The Most High is daily giving you the opportunity to do right. Don't turn from it. Don't turn your ear from reason to go listen to some folly, to go listen to somebody that's not going to take you through the persecution of your flesh, the persecution of what you would rather do, who you would rather be that's contrary. You better, hey, listen. It said, how beautiful are the feet to those that bring the good news. Hey, that's what you got to see. You got to welcome it. And that good news means death unto life. Because if you come in to bring the good news, part of that is you've been transgressing, but you have the opportunity. You have the opportunity to be saved out of that if you should change. That's the good news, is that you got the opportunity to come out, pending your meeting these obligations. Ain't no getting around. You got to do something. Don't be like the Christian and think you just getting in because what is it? God love you. God might love you. The Most High only love the righteous and those that are his. Everybody else can go to hell. And whatever you want to call it, torment, damnation, lake of fire, she-hole, whatever kind of term you want to put on it, that's where you can go. But anyway, that's all I got for y'all today, man. I'll be willing at some point in the week. I want to get into this other chapter. That speech I was looking for, I don't think I hit it today. I read a speech earlier. It was tube and everything, but I think it was another one that hit a little bit stronger than that. But if not, whatever. We gonna move on. And hope y'all enjoyed. Hope you've been edified. Shout out to Sis Alicia, said she enjoyed the time and the words. She said, much ahava or much love. And much ahava back to you. You and your Ish. Cold Rain. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to the whole assembly up there in Naptown. Shout out to all the Naptown brews. You know what I'm saying? They be rolling deep too. You gonna talk about assemblies being family, being together and rolling together and all that, man. These people, every time I see them, they rolling deep. They got they got the Airbnbs together. They pooling money, pooling funds. You see one, you see the other one. And man, that's beautiful, man. We need more like it, really. Y'all need to start doing videos. Y'all need to be recording these adventures and stuff y'all be going on and stuff, man. Put it out to the people so they can see that it does live. These bones can live. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to all y'all. Shout out to everybody that's watching now. Shout out to everybody who's gonna watch later. Give all honor and esteem to the Most High Yah. Thanks to his son Yahusha HaMashiach. And we see you next time. All praise. Shalom. I did not close that out right. Sorry, I hit the wrong button. Shalom.